Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I want to show you the exact pitch that I used to land my first 100 clients as a financial advisor. Time to think like an investor. Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new here, my name is Josh. I'm a CFP that oversees about 250 individuals and families, helps them invest and do financial planning, and we manage over $12 million in assets. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm in my 6th year now, I think, as a financial advisor. And one thing that I can say for sure, when it comes down to being in your first couple years of your career, what is going to determine if you survive or if you, let's put it a nice way, go look for another job, is two things. First of all, how many people can you get in front of? How many people can you kind of convince to meet with you? And second of all, how good are you at communicating with said people, right? You can think of it this way. If you are the kind of person who's insanely social, knows a million people, and people just like to meet with you, that's a massive leg up. If you have a very small number of people you're talking to, but you can explain yourself and you can communicate very powerfully, then you're honestly in just as good a position as somebody who has a ton of people but doesn't really communicate very well. In an ideal world, you could have both of these things, right? You would be a very social person and have tons of connections, and you'd also be a very powerful communicator, and that's kind of like the panacea. That's amazing. And this doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good advisor, it just means that you're going to survive, right? It means that you're going to have enough money to pay the bills. Now, the company that's hired you, they know this because they've probably come up with some sort of training program that you've gone through. And the reason they come up with these training programs is because they're trying to make their company idiot-proof. They want to be in a position where they can hire whoever they want off the street or whatever kid from a career fair and put him in a position, train him up, and make sure that when he goes out into the real world and starts recommending the way people invest or do financial planning, that he doesn't get sued or he doesn't blow up the entire company. So they have to build investment solutions, financial planning practices, and essentially advisor training that isn't really focused on making you very successful, but rather focused on reducing liability for the company. So I want you, if you're in this state of mind where you want to be a successful advisor, and you're, I guess, junior to me, because if you're much senior to me and you're already more successful, then why listen to me? But if you're a new or aspiring advisor, I think it's a good idea to dispense with all that training. I mean, take the little bits that really help you. But at the end of the day, if you want to be very successful, it's going to require that you almost tailor your pitch to make it your own. So let me dive into the way I would interact with a client for the very first time. And you guys might be thinking to yourselves, wow, is he kind of like sharing sales secrets? Well, you're going to find out really quickly that this isn't about sales at all. And I'd say the first place I'd start, let's say you walk into a meeting with a brand new prospect. What happens at first? Well, if you have any social skills, you're not diving right into the investment plan. You're not walking up to them and saying, hey, would you like investment A, B, or C? Nice to meet you. Like, we know there's this common courtesy that you talk and build a connection first, right? And in sales, I don't know, all the sales trainer in real estate or in car sales or whatever, call this building rapport. But in a relationship where you actually have a client you want to build something with and you're looking towards creating a better future, this isn't about sales. This isn't about building rapport. This is about creating a trusting relationship. And that's why I want to talk about a book that changed my life. It's called On Becoming a Person by a guy named Carl Rogers. Now, Carl Rogers is a famous psychotherapist, and he was prolific. And, think about people like Sigmund Freud, where you have clients who are, you're a therapist. You have clients on a couch and you're helping them sort out their life, and you're older and wiser and you can help them solve their problems. That's kind of this idea that Carl Rogers calls a helping relationship. Now, a lot of people have that view, right? A professional sees someone on a couch and they sit with them and help them through their life problems because they're a mess. But Carl Rogers says, no, that's not what we think about therapy. That's not how a good therapist thinks. In any helping relationship, a good therapist understands that the person or the client looking for a solution doesn't need to be told what to do by someone wiser who thinks they have the answers. The reality is that the client has the answer within them. The therapist's job is to sit with that person and be somebody who's not wearing a mask, to be someone that's not under a facade, to be someone who is truly genuine and vulnerable with that person, so this person can be comfortable developing a relationship that is authentic and genuine, where they're comfortable being themselves. Do you kind of see where I'm getting at here? Carl Rogers says that in all of my time being a therapist, there's a few things that hurt and a few things that help. What really helps is being as honest as I physically can, admitting that I don't know the solution to the client's problem, not pretending like I'm holier than thou, But what really doesn't help is when I try to pretend I'm something I'm not, when I try to pretend I'm more successful than I am, or I'm trying to pretend that I have higher status than I am, or that I'm, have more clients than I have, trying to pretend that our clients get better results than they do. All of those things hurt at the end of the day in a helping relationship. What really helps is being a person a client can meet with and understand going into that meeting, this isn't just gonna be a weather conversation. This isn't gonna be small talk. This is gonna be someone who is actually vulnerable with me, is willing to open up to a conversation that I wouldn't have with friends or family. This is a person I can rely on that when I meet with them, we're gonna get into the issues. And that's kind of what a therapist is, right? Maybe it's not the best way to, now, as a financial advisor, maybe you don't want to approach every single meeting as a therapist, right? But this is the general idea when you first meet with a client. The idea isn't, oh, let me fix them, let me show them how I can change their life, all this kind of thing. What you want to do in that first little bit is display your willingness to be vulnerable. Display your willingness to build a connection with a human. Display your willingness to talk about the things you're struggling with, or the sacrifices that you've had to make, or the challenges in life, or the mutual struggle that you have between the client. But also talk about the good things, talk about what excites you about the future. Be a person. People have both problems and solutions. People have things about their life that are great and things that aren't. So all I'm really getting at here, guys, is that the real foundation of building a great client relationship is when someone knows they can trust you. And I don't mean trust, I mean someone who knows that they can be themselves around you, that you're gonna be that person they can meet with and have a conversation about that pushes them both forward, right? So anyways, that's what I'm thinking about, as nuts as that sounds, and I fail to do this all the time, but in that first 20 minutes of a meeting with a client, I'm keeping my eye out for, what is this person like? How can I display to them that I'm here for them? How can I display to them that I'm genuinely not trying to put up a front? I'm wanting to show them the real me, and hopefully if they see that I'm being the real me, now we can actually have a real conversation about life where we can improve on something. There is nothing worse in the world than having a client or dealing with somebody who is just shut off, or they're pretending to be something they're not, because you're talking to the fake version of what someone really is. So I think great financial planning and investment manager relationships are built on relationships where you both know the real one another. You both know each other at an authentic level. So anyways, if you want to learn about that rapport building first aspect of a pitch or relationship with a client you actually genuinely want to help, take a look at Carl Rogers. I highly recommend that book. But then the next thing, what happens from there? Okay, so we've built a kind of a situation where we know that we can maybe trust each other, or maybe that's kind of at least the goal of the first part. The second part for me is always like, what inspired you to meet with me? And I mean, in the initial stages of the career, the answer might be awkward. It might be, well, Bill, you asked me to. Like, I'm here because you told me to come. So that could be part of it. But potentially what you're trying to get at is, what is the client's motivation? Because we've all been there when someone was trying to sell us on an idea or a product, and we just had no interest in it. And they were blabbering about all the features and benefits, but they're just completely avoiding because the one thing you actually wanted to hear about. If I'm blabbering about, retirement and investment and accumulating wealth, and all the client wants to do is buy their first home, I'm off track. And now I'm ruining the pitch. I'm ruining the experience. So the first question is, what inspired you to meet with me? What excites you about maybe what we have to talk about in terms of bettering ourselves financially? And usually if you just shut up and let the person talk, which is the number one error new advisors make, is just kind of like rambling like I do in YouTube videos. But letting that person talk, right? Letting that person express what it is that they're excited about and what they want to learn about, right? And in that moment, they will give you the key to the pitch. Like I said, Carl Rogers, the answer that this person is looking for is inside of them. You're just trying to facilitate a conversation that is as genuine as possible that allows them to be comfortable of that surfacing, right? And usually something will surface like, man, I'm really stressed out about buying a new house and I don't know what to do about it. Or I know I should be investing. My parents tell me I should be investing. The internet tells me I should be investing. I don't really know what this is all about. I just want to make sure I've mentally checked off this box. People will have answers like that. And at that point, you have the frame set for the remainder of the conversation. Every single thing you talk about from that point on, whether it's investing or insurance, or we're talking about financial planning, or we're talking about the power of compounding interest, or whatever it might be, is framed around that goal. Let's say a client says, I want to buy a house. Every single discussion I have is going to be about things that facilitate the buying of a house. I'm not going to talk about complex strategies or corporations or insurance. I'm not going to do those things. I'm going to frame our conversation around what it is that I know that can make their life better potentially, but also mixing that first and foremost with the main thing that motivated them to talk to me in the first place. So we've established some sort of relationship around vulnerability, trust, and being real with each other, which is imperative. And that's something you also build with the client over time. Another thing you've established is what is it that they actually want to talk about? What do they value? Not what do you value, what do they value? And having the flexibility to frame everything that you want to say within the context of what they value. And now lastly would be asking the client, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you feel like you know about investing? Or how much do you feel like you know about finance? I think it's really important to give a prospect the ability to express themselves if they feel competent or to admit that they don't feel competent. Getting that client to be honest about, hey, I'm probably a 3 out of 10. That allows you to now decide what level of complexity to orient the conversation around. What level of complexity can you approach this person with, right? And the reality is, when you ask a client, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you feel like you know about finance? As a new advisor, the reality is most of them are going to be under a 4 or a 5, because if they were over a 5 or a 6, they probably wouldn't be working with you because you're brand new, right? That's just the nature of the situation. So you may have had it where you're talking to someone who is a salesperson, or you're talking to someone who is seeing you as kind of a client or someone they can help, and they're expounding and detailing and telling you all about things that you already know. Well, you don't feel great. You're like, I wish this person would give me a chance to talk so I could tell them that I know X, Y, and Z so we could stop wasting time, so we could get right to the points that matter, right? So I think that that's kind of the main thing I'm trying to establish within the first 20 to 30 minutes of that conversation is, do we trust each other? Can we be real with each other? Because there's nothing worse than dealing with a client who isn't real with you, who's dealing with a client who you're talking to them, but you're really talking to someone else or someone that they're trying to show you who they are. And the same thing goes for you as an advisor. Can you guys be vulnerable in yourselves around each other? That's one. Second, can you get an understanding of what motivates them and excites them? And lastly, the last thing is, can you give them a chance to express what they know so that you're on the same page about things, or to express the fact that they're really intimidated, that they don't know anything, right? So that would kind of conclude like the first part of the meeting. And what I've realized by doing this is that this video is already insanely long. And I was planning to actually show you the physical sketches and the things that I actually say with the client. Because over time, when you do 1,000 meetings, you start to realize what things kind of hit someone in a weird spot where they thought it was weird that you said that, and you kind of eliminate that from your pitch. And over time, you find out what someone really resonated with and found powerful, and you kind of accentuate that in the future and you add it to more, right? So you're kind of crafting this art piece over time of what it is that you say to people so that you can have and establish a genuine relationship where you can help them and in turn they can help you. So that's that art of finding a win-win in that first meeting, and I'm realizing now that I've gotten so passionate about that, I never really got into the deeper parts of the pitch and the exact sketches and drawings I do to walk people through the ideas. So if for whatever reason you guys came here to actually see more about the in-depth tactics and details and conversations and sketches that I use to illustrate our value proposition to a client and actually show you what it is that I do and I say in meetings, make sure to hit that like button below and leave me a comment, because I will put that together. I would love to tell you guys more about that. But anyways, if you guys got any value out of this video whatsoever, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.